Hi, I'm Melo ALPHAOMEGA, and I walk Butch Face. I am part of the purple era.
Hi, I am the Prince Charming, Haven Balenciaga. I came out in the yellow era, but started walking Butch Face in the orange era.
You know what it is. This is your boy, Ryan Gorgeous Gucci. I'm from the Purple Era, and I walk Bush Queen Face.
Well, if I go first, my introduction to ballroom was when I met Cesar, and he introduced me into the House of Alpha Omega, which he just opened or established in 2021. And that's the year I started walking. Because I started off walking realness, schoolboy realness, and then I guess some people thought they see me for face and told that to Cesar. Cesar asked me, and even for myself, I didn't think of myself to be like face. I don't know what that really is. You know what I mean? This is also my introduction into ballroom, not knowing anything about it. So when I learned about it, I started watching videos and clips. I said, okay, I like that. The first person I ended up hearing about face was actually when I met Jason, but Whitney, it went right to Whitney, then went Exotic, then went to Emery's, then Christian, and it just like went up, and I just got up to date and then realized that's where I have to start. So yeah, it started Schoolboy Wellness, and then actually, yeah, Schoolboy Wellness, then I walked New Face that night, the first night I walked the ball. Then at the next ball, I walked Realness, Schoolboy Realness in one, and I walked Face in one. So I won 2 times in the ball.
So I know many people. I am not a spring chicken. I am from Virginia. I was actually introduced to ballroom at the age of 15. I was sneaking in the clubs with friends, and we went to a club one night called Godfrey's. I believe it's still open. It's like a little hole in the wall. The drag shows and everything happened there. I've been on my own since 15 as well. And being in this club, I saw this woman walk in, and everyone was like, "Oh, she's here, she's here." And I was like, "What's going on?" I didn't know anything about ballroom or anything static stuff. And time had passed, and this woman had walked up to me, and she said, "You're so handsome. You're so beautiful." And I was so shocked that she was speaking to me because she looked like a celebrity. I didn't know who this woman was. So rest in peace to Queen Mother Barbie, Bianca Baxter, Mizrahi. She was my mother. We both came up in Virginia. We're both Leos. I ended up going to dinner with her, Earl, Mizrahi, Gorgeous Gucci, the Shauna Brooks, the people of Virginia. And I was such a kid at the time, and I was looking around at these people. And the way that they embraced me and took me in, Barbie taught me everything I know, for the most part. And then my Uncle Caesar, I was traveling back and forth to New York. So growing up, I basically grew up in ballroom. I started walking Pretty Boy Realness. Won a lot of trophies for that, but there was always like speculation of I look real this night, but then I look too pretty the next night, and it was always like on the fence. I had good nights, and some nights it was a little bit shaky. But I've always been like an artist. I grew up in theater, musical theater background, Center for the Arts, and I've always been entrapped by the creativity of ballroom. And Barbie used to read me all the time, and say well, why do you keep walking that boring category? You're more than this. You need to walk face or sex siren or something where you can be a little bit more expressive. And I think as I got older, I initially was a little scared to do something different because realness for me was like a safe zone. It was a comfort zone for me. And one day I just I jumped out on the ledge. I was actually a part of a house where I expressed that I wanted to walk face. And I was told no. And I felt secluded, that I felt like I had been put in this box of this perception of how ballroom had already seen me for years. Oh, he's a pretty boy. All the girls want him and this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it was all the hype around that when I'm actually an artist and I'm a creator. And I wanted to kind of submerge myself in that a little bit more. And so after being told no, I took matters into my own hands. I left the house. And I believe it was my uncle's ball, one of his coldest winter ever balls. And it was to bring in all white. And I didn't practice with anyone. I cultivated, curated my own look. And I came out and I just remember everyone's face like being on the floor, especially Jason. He was like, "The one I told you daily." He was really shocked to see that I stepped to the plate and like really got myself together. I did sit 4 people that night, and it was so funny that the last battle that night was me as a 007 and the new Prodigy face that they had bought in the house. And I was like, there's no way that I'm coming out as a 007, walking a new category, and you giving me a trophy in the same night after telling me not to walk. Like, that just would have been crazy. But I think that like started off my journey like within the category, and since then, like I feel like I've grown so much. And I've had a lot of supportive people around me during my journey. So,
Well, I could say I started Ballroom back May of last year, 2022. I was never affiliated with Ballroom whatsoever. I had no knowledge of it. At the time, before Ballroom, I was normally a club person. I was always an in-home person, working, running my business, kind of being in my own lane. So, one time I had one of my house this Cash Gorgeous Gucci. He had wanted me to be introduced into the ballroom lifestyle, which, I'm very open-minded to, trying new things and new experiences because, I heard about it for a while, but I was never really into ballroom. But, he kind of pushed me and motivated me to kind of give it a test shot. So, like, okay, cool. So that's when, he introduced me to the House of Gorgeous Gucci because he wanted me to be in that house. He wanted me to kind of get the rundown when it comes to the practices. He wanted to get the feel and the vibe of everybody that's in my house. Jack being in my house as him being, Icon, the mother of Gorgeous Gucci. And yeah. And, I'm the type of person who's not really confident when it comes to, like, selling my category because, I'm very much of a shy, low-key type of guy. So, at practices, when, obviously if I'm, like, the center of attention or just everybody just kind of, like, looking at me, I was never really the type of person who would really kind of give it all because at first everybody thought I was, more of a pretty boy wellness type of guy. But I feel like people saw me enough to walk face. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, practices wasn't really given as much. So like I said again, he wanted me to start my debut at Jack's 50th birthday ball in Miami. That was my first time walking. Got my first 10s across the board. I made it to the final battle. Of course, I didn't get it. So, I feel like ever since then, it kind of showed me like a boost in confidence in myself because, ever since the first time of me walking, I feel like I was motivated to just keep going and pushing myself and just really see what this lifestyle was really all about for me. And, people saw that I had the potential, but, it was just about practices. They wanted me to kind of look at old clips of like old Bush Queen faces and, just kind of get the feeling and the vibe of it. So that was that. I feel like, I had my second ball at, trying to think where it was at, Latex. That's when I battled him for the first time, Melo. And, he got me, I got my 10s, he did his big one that night. And, everybody, at the night was like, okay, Ryan, I see this person as like your rivalry. Because, you guys are short, you guys are new into the game, whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then I already noticed that on my next night when I walked, which was the Optimus Bowl, I got him that night. So it kind of gave it like that, okay, Ryan, like, this is like now your rivalry person. And yeah.
Some people that I look up to in the category is, I can't really say that I have any favorites, but I think in my mind I kind of do. But I really look up to Whitney, Jason, Anne-Marie, Christian, I really look up to. I really look up to. I would say I really think Giselle is doing her thing right now. Even though she's in the newer area, I think I don't know. It's my first time seeing Giselle. She's just amazing. Who else? Yeah, Kim. Yeah, that's about it right now.
I would say because I was an individual that walked a certain category for a certain amount of time and then stepping into like new shoes. In my mind, it was a little difficult for me at first because I was so used to coming to the floor a certain way, and I didn't really understand what it was to walk butch clean face because I had walked pretty boy for so long. That the people that I did look up to or that still look up to this day, I think I would say Jason, and his creative aspect of how he's always outside and engaging. And I have to mention Whitney as well. Whitney has embraced me since day one. He speaks to me. He gives me like constructive criticism. And there's a genuine opulence that I feel when I speak with him. And I know that that is from a good place.
I could say one of my gay brothers, Eric. He's definitely, pushed me, motivated me to walk. He definitely showed me different techniques and different moves when it comes to settling my base and when it comes to the 5 elements. So I just say, he's a part of that big factor in my life. I could also say my New York City father, Christian. He's also another huge part of it. And also, I could also say Cash, which also is a gorgeous Gucci. And he also, was that first person to really have me, go out there to really elevate myself when it comes to walking that category. So I could say those 3 main people for me.
I feel the moment I feel like I arrived in my category is never. And I have not arrived just yet. I'm still taking opportunities like this, being around icons and legends, to learn the history of ballroom, to learn to bring something better, bring something different to ballroom. So I feel like I haven't arrived just yet. I'm going to take my time with it though.
Shoot. I feel that the moment that I arrived within the category, I think being in ballroom since 15 and walking butch queen face, the moment that I arrived in the category, I would say it didn't necessarily, it had to do with ballroom, but it wasn't like at a ball on the floor. Well, actually I have 2. Being able to audition for like such a special project out of so many people. I will say it's so funny how the generalized public or the spectators or people that watch you or that reach out to you and say certain things also motivate you. But I think, being a part of Rihanna's Super Bowl commercial and being the only butch queen face to represent the category and like having just the whole production team and everyone asking me questions about, how I do certain things or to be embraced in that way, it shows that it was a next level than the type of embracement that you probably get like within the scene. Because I feel that even in the scene, a lot of people aren't uplifted as much as they should be. And you actually get more recognition outside of the scene. So I think to be recognized in that light for this category, I know it meant something. It was special to me. And I also think last year at Jack's awards ball, upon becoming a Balenciaga, I did walk a lot. I did travel a lot. And I had my talks with Shannon and Harold and love them so much as well. I think to be like awarded like overall butch clean face of the year, not just for like a state or, but like overall ballroom, that really meant a lot to me as well, to be recognized. for that, and also motivated me to want to continue to bring it to the floor.
And I could add on to that because, you know, with the year of me walking, it's been 13 months for me. And I could say that I've been consistent state to state. I walked internationally in Paris once, and also got my 2 of the years, one in the Southeast region and one in Miami. So I say, you know, with everything I've done in this past 13 months, I feel like I've done such a big accomplishment for myself, and I could truly say that. You know, I could also, you know, I could thank my house. I could also thank other people who have been inspiring me and motivating me to just kind of keep pushing myself out there, because there has been times where I just was like, you know what, ballroom is not for me. I'm just so used to the regular club life or just living my normal life. Because, you know, it could definitely take a toll. Because, you know, sometimes, you know, people could have negative impacts on the way you walk or just how you just sell it, or just kind of like how you just kind of give it out there on the floor. Because once you're out there whooping your, excuse me, once you're out there walking a category, it's like all eyes is on you and cameras is on you. Everything is all about you in that moment. And it's like, whatever you do, you gotta give it all you got. So if you do it, then you do it. If you fuck up, you fuck up. It's like, and I don't know. I just feel like, you know, with me experience, like I said, y'all can't really know much about me in these 13 months. Like, I'm not, you know, as y'all legends or icons who's been in this game for more than, you know, 5, 10 to 15 years or plus. So, you know, I feel like, you know, this is all a new experience for me still. And I know within time, I'm gonna elevate, I'm gonna get better. And of course, I'm gonna receive my statuses, my legendary statuses, my icons, because I'm gonna manifest that and I'm gonna get that.
Do I feel like what we post on social media can help or hinder us in our category? I do. If you bring those certain essences that you would bring in a ball, I think the proof should be on Instagram. If you ask me, I mean, but if you know, it's also 2 different entities. You know what I mean? Ballroom is in a ballroom. You know, and when it comes to Instagram and stuff, no one knows what's going on Instagram when you're competing right now against the person. So that's what I think. But I think it's 2 different entities. But yes, I do think it can boost your status and make you look like, oh, that's the person I know from that category.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add to that. I think it can work for you or against you, and I think in this area of like social media driven society, you are who you market. You are your brand. Personally, I would say, Ballroom has played a lot in uplifting who I am as a person on and off the floor, and I think what you post on social media should kind of coincide with that. Like I engage with people who know nothing about Ballroom that see clips that I post of myself from certain balls and things, and they're intrigued. They want to learn more. They want to, be a part. They want to go to a ball. They want to see you. And everything's so mainstream now that you should utilize it to your benefit. And yeah.
And I was also gonna say that I feel like Ballroom is not so underground no more; it's more mainstream. And the thing, thanks to you, Caesar, because with your, Ballroom throwbacks, with your lives, this getting posted on YouTube and social media. I feel like people outside of Ballroom are very interested in that, and I feel like it inspires people to kind of go out there and kind of be who they really want to be when it comes to the Ballroom aspect. I feel like being in Ballroom, you can express how you really feel. You could, show off your talent. I feel like, nowadays in this real world, it's like, you can't really do that. I feel like, people always have something to say. They want to judge about, whatever it is that, I feel like that the real world can't really accept. I feel like Ballroom as a whole is a family. And I feel like, when it comes to Ballroom, it is an open door for open opportunities for you to give it all you got.
How do I feel about the breakdown of the categories from light versus brown versus dark? I feel like as long as you have the 5 elements of face, then it really shouldn't matter your skin tone. The 5 elements of face are teeth, skin, eyes, nose, and structure. So skin tone is kind of in there, but like I said, it shouldn't be favored over one or the other, especially if one person may have clearer skin than the other, or you never know. Yeah.
I think it should be equal across the board. I honestly don't like when categories are posted like that. Like, oh, we're doing light versus dark versus brown. I recently got into a debate with my brother Leo from Paris, because they have a ball coming up where it's only like you can only be a certain shade of brown or darker to walk. And I'm like, what that? And if that was like, that turned into like a whole conversation. I just think it just plays into the whole colorism thing of ballroom. And to be honest, it doesn't work out in anyone's favor. It just holds the entire scene back as a whole.
And honestly, I can't really put my input into this question because this is my first time even hearing about something about, as far as, the colors and things. So because I feel like nowadays in this generation, especially when it comes to ballroom, I feel like it could kind of take a lot of your time in, and it doesn't really have you focus on what's bigger out there. Ballroom's gonna be around forever. Let's put it like that. There are many things to where people want to go to school, maybe they want to go to college, seek for a career, do whatever it is. Because honestly, if it was for me, I've always put my career first before anything. Like, I could always put ballroom to the side. That's why I feel like in my first year of ballroom, I felt like I wanted to be consistent, walk state to state, travel internationally, walk these balls. But I already told myself after this first year, I'm gonna take the step down for a bit. I'll show a face every once in a while, because I feel like nowadays, these judges don't want to see the same faces all the time walk. Like, it's no shit.
Well, I was taught at a very young age by my mom, Barbie, that ballroom is always extracurricular. To me, it has always been a safe space where I'm able to be self-expressive and creative. I never wanted to be a part of ballroom for like status or all the hoopla of like, I'm not breaking my neck to walk 20 balls a month. Like, if I have time for it, I make time for it. I'm a very scheduled person. So if I know that something's coming up that I have an interest in walking, it's probably like a month or two before, and I'm preparing like a month or two before. But that's the gamble that you play when you spend $1,500, $2,000 on a look. You prepare 2 months in advance just to come out 15 seconds to see whether the judges are going to see it for you or not. And that's the gamble that you take. I think ballroom for me, as long as it's set in my mind that it's an outlet and an extracurricular activity for me, it's all fun and competition, and I keep it as a creative space and to be self-expressive. It honestly coincides with my lifestyle, because I have so many clients that I work with for wardrobe and stuff that are now interested in ballroom because they want to know what it is. Like, one of my really good friends and top clients, she's Russian. She lives in like Midtown, and she asked me, we're at lunch, and she's like, what is this video? Like, people saying, oh, God, like, her accent's funny, but she's like, what are they saying? And, so many people that are on the outside are so intrigued by like what's going on the inside, that right now my focus is work and like LGBTQ plus youth in ballroom. Because I feel like I've been in the scene like a minute now, that you see so many younger kids coming in, and I wanted to kind of like uplift them the way that I was uplifted.
In 5 years in ballroom, I will see myself as an established butch cream face that gets on that floor and puts fear in people's hearts and is afraid to walk because, oh my God, Melo's walking. I mean, I could have to be honest, because you want to put your foot down and let them people know that that's your territory, and this is my new era, so I have to bring forth the energy.
I truly enjoy the category because when I do see certain people, the energy that each individual embodies, like I know if I see a Noah Milan, bitch, I'm gonna have to come out the ceiling or something, because you know, just what he brings. Like, I know if I see certain people, like if I see like Rico or Christian, like they just bring certain energy to the floor. Emery, like you're like, whoa, like, okay, well, what am I about to do? It has to be something. But just the category embodies to me like an energy and like a presence, and I believe that for me personally, I've solidified that when I do come out. And I think what I bring is creativity. I like to challenge myself and the looks that I put together. If everybody's in a suit, I want a Medusa headpiece and a toga. Like I've always been one to like do my own thing and not really care what anybody has to say about it. For me, it's really tricky. I feel like you either really, really love me and like me, or you just don't. Like there's no gray area, and I kind of live for that. I think the presence of it all in my mind, I feel as though I run with the Prince Charming thing, because when I come out, I want to feel like I'm pulling up in like a chariot with like doves, and like it's a whole theatrical, like, wow, you know? And that's honestly what goes on in my mind, and that's what I try to convey every time I come out.
I mean, with the little amount of time I've been in ballroom, I feel like, you know, I still have a lot more things to work on. Like, I feel like I'm not 1% at my best right now, and I know with the time that I will, confidently I will. And, you know, I feel like, you know, when I do walk, you know, I give it for what I got. You know, I feel like, you know, one of my issues when I walk is, you know, it's just kind of like, it's kind of a nervous breakdown for me. Like, you know, sometimes when I walk, I could be, excuse me, I could tend to be a little nervous. You know, I feel like, you know, things are not kind of working out in my favor, maybe because one of my elements is off, you know, something like that. And I already know, like, as soon as one of my elements is off, it's like, okay, like, I don't have that 1% confidence in me to, you know, really give it for what I got. So I feel like, you know, when people expect me to kind of like work on more when it comes to my confidence, when it comes to my looks at times, I know in the beginning, you know, people will kind of address me because sometimes I will come off, you know, in suits in the beginning. You know, I feel like, you know, that was more my aesthetic at the time. I feel like people wanted to see me as something different, more Bush Queenish. You know, I'm the type of person who comes out more masculine. Like, I wasn't never really the type to wear like feminine products or skirts or see-through shirts. Like, that's not really been my vibe. And like I said, ever since I joined Ballroom, it's been a whole different game for me. So of course people wanted me to come in different looks because, you know, suits to me is more like a masculine thing for me. You know, button up, suit, tie, you know, that's more my aesthetic. I like to dress up. So, you know, when people were kind of telling me, oh, hey, Ryan, you know, this is good, but I feel like people want to see something different. So I feel like, you know, I made one of my biggest moments back at the latest ball this year when I came in, you know, in that having the bell look. And I feel like it was one of my best looks. Do I feel like I 1% gave it for what I got when I walked? Absolutely not. But I know at the time I'm a really work on, you know, just things I gotta work on that I know that that person work on for myself. And that's it.
What do I bring individually to the category? In Butch Queen Face, I feel like I bring my natural self, and I bring cleanliness, freshness. I bring youthfulness, and I just bring, you know, extra. I give a little extra sometimes. I always give a little extra. So, you know, I bring so, you know, yeah, I really was a really huge, I can't.
You know, it defines you. Like, no matter what anybody has to say about how you sell your look or how you dress or how you confidently walk out there, give it for what you got. Because at the end of the day, Ballroom could be a negative impact. People could talk shit. People could say great things about you. People could say bad things about you. You know, give it for what you got. Win, lose, or draw. That's how I see it.
100%.
I feel like, you know, Ballroom to me is a game, is an extracurricular activity for me. And I feel like fuck what anybody has to say. Like, if people has a problem with you selling your category like this, or the way how you dressing, or you just how you carrying yourself, I say just do you.
And if
I feel like I do me. I feel like people was gonna talk shit about our work. People gonna talk shit about our stuff, my look, or just whatever. But
And
that's awesome.
okay, so there's one thing that I wanted to touch on, and that I wanted to speak about, because I feel like I came in between different eras where I did watch the category Butch Clean Face, but I was walking Pretty Boy Realness at the time. And then so seeing two different eras of the category kind of subjected me to kind of wrap around my head, well, who do I want to be in this category, right? But I did want to touch on like the selective outrage and like how the category has evolved, where they have categories where it's like no makeup, makeup, some makeup, little bit, whatever the category may be calling for. And just how somebody can be pointed out for saying, oh, he's wearing makeup, but then other individuals that have on more makeup than someone else are praised. You know, it's a game that you play when you decide to step on the floor. And I believe that is subjected to being selective. And then like politics are involved and a lot of different things coincide with that. But that go transcending into like another topic that Jason brought up, was walking the category and having enhancements, or when you decide to do like certain things. As I stated, I've always been an individual to do what I want to do, move at the beat of my own drum. Anything that I do is for me and always has been for me. And I'm very transparent about the things that I decide to do or that I share. And walking the category, I did have conversations with like my leadership, like Shannon and Harold and Raquel. I think being in the category and deciding to like go get my nose done, which I did, I was very transparent about that. I made dope ass hoodies with my face on it and bandages that sold out twice. I'm very unapologetic about how I move and how I decide to do things. And I think for me, being a player in the game, what that sets the tone for me is that you either like me or you don't. But that doesn't stop my flow. That doesn't stop me from getting my things. That doesn't stop me doing for what I do. And I do believe that I am a contender and someone to be intimidated by in this category. Just because I like to see myself as the wild card. You don't know what I'm going to come wearing. You don't know what I'm going to do. You don't know how I'm going to bring it. And it's nice to see that people do underestimate me sometimes, because in those same tokens, there have been balls that I won. I think also, like just staying true to yourself, staying true to yourself and really evoking who you are as an individual, not allowing, you know, people's opinions or being subjected to people around you that aren't necessarily for you to deter who you are as a person. And always be comfortable and confident in what you bring. I think that's also really important too, because you have so many personalities and so many different images around you that it's easy to copy the next person, or it's easy to invoke the energy that someone else gives, you know. But digging deep within yourself and figuring out who you are as a person and what you bring and how you bring, I think is the most important. So always stick true to that.